Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such. And now I fear that we like the terrorists is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the parties with the young and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like your heroes in Hamas.
Bill Maher just took a brutal swing at young Democrats, and it's downright entertaining. The sharp-tongued liberal comic isn't buying the hype, claiming the so-called fresh generation is basically a rerun of the old guard, stumbling into the same tired blunders. In a scorching monologue, Maher torched sacred progressive talking points, shredding the youthful idealism many cling to. Buckle up, this one stings.
This is a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual, because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is. Although don't get Tucker Carlson started on Russia. But
this is actually a deeply worrying stat. If 1 in 4 young Democrats is disenchanted and disinterested in America, then we are staring at a future in real trouble. A nation cannot survive if its own youth lose faith in it. Sure, America isn't perfect, no country is, but compared to much of the world, this place is paradise. The fact that so many young people see it differently speaks volumes. It's not about reality, it's about conditioning. This is the product of years of left-wing indoctrination that paints America as the villain rather than the beacon of freedom it truly is. And if this mindset keeps spreading, the America we know could be slipping away right before our eyes.
But the U.S. is leagues ahead of the rest of the world on most of the progressive issues that are important to young people. America has 14 million women-owned businesses. 17% of black women are starting businesses, which is faster than white women or white men. Gay Americans are free to marry, and 49% of them own property. Yes, in America, gays buy buildings. In other places, they get thrown off them.
In many countries across the Middle East and in several parts of Africa, the reality for the LGBTQ community is grim. Gays can't openly celebrate their sexuality without risking severe punishment, imprisonment, or even death. Out of fear, many are forced to hide in the shadows, living double lives where secrecy becomes survival. Some even enter marriages with the opposite sex just to deflect suspicion, while secretly meeting their true partners behind closed doors. The oppression doesn't stop there. Look at the plight of women. In several of these regions, women still face harsh restrictions on their freedoms, and the idea of owning and running a business remains unthinkable in many places. It's the harsh truth few want to face.
All those old movies you think are cringe? Well, they're cringe because America changed, because we modernized, way more than most societies have. Our current Congress is the most racially and ethnically diverse ever. They're like a beautiful, useless rainbow. And we proudly live in a land where every TV commercial features a mixed-race couple, including the ones where it makes no sense. Mom's black, dad's white, and the kid's Asian.
Yep, America has bent over backwards time and time again to accommodate, please, and even elevate every group within its borders, from the LGBTQ+ community to racial minorities and beyond. Every successive administration, regardless of party, has rolled out policies, programs, and initiatives designed to factor in racial dynamics, uplift marginalized voices, and showcase our commitment to diversity. On paper, it sounds noble, celebrating differences, embracing multiculturalism, and ensuring everyone feels recognized. But at some point you have to ask, when does bending over backwards start to look more like breaking our backbone? Diversity should be about strength, not division. Unfortunately, too often it's become a political tool, a way to score points rather than truly unify the nation. America's leaders keep parading inclusivity, yet the country feels more fractured than ever. Maybe it's time to rethink whether these efforts are uniting us or quietly tearing us apart.
But here is the dilemma for Democrats. Their young people, their key constituency, not only don't like their own civilization, they like the wrong one. They actually think Hamas is a liberation movement. They chant for the Houthis. They're chanting, "We will honor our martyrs" at Yale. They're looking for love in all the wrong countries. Someone needs to tell the kids that America is not the society where women basically have no rights, where there's zero freedom of religion and where dissent is punishable by death. Our democracy may be on life support, but we still have elections. They don't.
Many of the freedoms we casually take for granted in America are the very same rights people in other corners of the world would literally risk their lives to attain. The ability to speak freely, to worship or not without fear, to protest against the government, to vote, to love who you choose, and to pursue opportunity on your own terms. These are luxuries for millions elsewhere. Yet somehow our younger generation seems blind to this reality. Instead of appreciating the freedoms they've inherited, many are quick to point fingers and insist that America is the problem. Even worse, they romanticize countries that trample on human life and suppress basic rights, as though those places embody some kind of moral high ground. It's both naive and dangerous. If we don't teach the next generation to value what we have, we risk losing the very freedoms that make America exceptional.
Yet at Coachella this year, when an Irish rap group projected onto screens, "Fuck Israel, Free Palestine," got big applause. "Globalize the Intifada" is the catchphrase that's really catching on these days, as if worldwide suicide bombing and cosplaying Islamic revolutionaries is the answer to our problems.
It's honestly sad to see the kinds of causes young Democrats are so eager to throw themselves behind. Many of them seem more passionate about championing foreign ideologies or praising nations that actively suppress freedom than they are about protecting the liberties we already enjoy here at home. But let's play along for a second. Let's even grant their claim that some of these countries are supposedly doing better than America. How exactly does that help us? Do they really want us to copy systems that crush dissent, silence free thought, and strip away democracy? Should we abandon free speech, toss out the very principles that made America a beacon of hope, and model ourselves after nations where citizens live in fear of their own government? If that's the vision, then they're not fighting for progress, they're fighting for regression disguised as enlightenment.
At an AOC Bernie Sanders rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, "This is not a symbol of freedom. This is."
Everything young Democrats believe today, their worldview, their rhetoric, their marching orders, has been spoon-fed to them by the older generation of left-wing leaders. The likes of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Zohran Mamdani, Ilhan Omar, and Gavin Newsom have carefully shaped their thinking, drilling into them the idea that America is broken, corrupt, and undeserving of pride. Instead of instilling gratitude for living in one of the freest, most prosperous nations in history, these figures encourage them to idolize foreign systems, even those with far fewer rights and freedoms. It's a steady drumbeat. Glorify others, vilify America. The result? A whole wave of young Democrats who see patriotism as outdated, who mock the very foundations of the country that gives them their platform. What they don't realize is that this mindset doesn't just weaken political discourse. It undermines America's unity and fuels the slow erosion of national pride.
If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party.
I've always said it on this channel, and I'll keep saying it. The Democrats are weak and hopelessly woke. They don't stand for anything solid anymore. Instead of showing real leadership, they fold under pressure, bowing to every radical demand and pandering to every group that screams the loudest. It's not strength, it's cowardice dressed up as progress. The party has become so consumed with pleasing the far left that it's lost touch with everyday Americans who just want common sense and stability. If Democrats could somehow find the willpower and courage to stand up to their own extremists, they might actually restore some credibility. They might even bring order back into their fractured party. And who knows, if they did that, they could possibly reclaim the White House. But as long as weakness and wokeness rule the day, the Democrats are setting themselves up for failure.
Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such. And now I fear that "we like the terrorists" is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children. The Democrats' problem is the energy of the party is with the young and the young are with the terrorists. That's not good. So talk to your children and remind them you don't really want to live like your heroes in Hamas.
Democrats need to wake up to a hard truth. If they want to return to the echelons of power and influence they once commanded, they must ditch the woke mob altogether. Catering to every radical whim and listening to their loudest, most online supporters, often their own kids, has led them down a path of political self-destruction. The obsession with identity politics, cancel culture, and virtue signaling might win applause on social media, but it alienates everyday Americans who care more about real issues like jobs, security, and stability. Instead of letting their children, who have been indoctrinated in woke ideology, dictate the agenda, Democrats should start facing reality. The future of the party doesn't lie in caving to the fringe, but in reconnecting with the center. If they don't course correct soon, the Democratic Party risks becoming a hollow echo chamber rather than a serious force in American politics.
Smartphone, your Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. You tell your phone you want a milkshake and a guy brings it to your house. Please, you couldn't survive a week living in Intifadaville. You're like the girl in White Lotus who was going to live in a Buddhist monastery and then lasted one night.
True. All these young people who proudly wave the banner for terrorists and oppressive regimes wouldn't last a single day living under those same systems. They scream about justice and resistance from the safety of America, all while being shielded by freedoms they don't even appreciate. The irony is almost laughable. They are completely disillusioned, living in fantasies where they imagine themselves as brave revolutionaries fighting for a noble cause. But when the harsh reality of those regimes hits them, the lack of free speech, the brutality, the oppression, the utter disregard for human life, they wouldn't stand tall. They'd crumble instantly, running for the exits with their tails between their legs, desperate to crawl back to the very freedoms they so casually scorn today. It's easy to play the radical when you're protected by America's liberties. It's a whole different story when those liberties don't exist. At the end of the day, America's biggest challenge isn't foreign enemies, it's the mindset brewing within its own borders. Too many young Democrats have been blinded by indoctrination, idolizing nations that crush freedoms while scorning the liberties they freely enjoy here. They champion woke causes, embrace dangerous illusions, and forget that America, despite its flaws, remains unmatched in freedom and opportunity. If this disillusionment continues, the nation risks unraveling from the inside. The solution is simple. Wake up, face reality, and protect what makes America great before it's too late. Otherwise, the freedoms we take for granted may vanish. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.